The diner door creaked open slowly as cold air slipped inside, and an old man stepped in, shaking from hunger and silent exhaustion. Every customer turned their head for a second, then looked away quickly, pretending not to notice what stood near the entrance. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments what time is it and where are you watching from. Let's start. The young waitress behind the counter paused mid-step, eyes softening as concern replaced the rush of her busy evening shift. The old man didn't speak at first, just held the edge of a chair, unsure if he was even allowed to sit among paying customers. Across the room, a sharply dressed man in a dark suit stood still, watching everything with a calm but unreadable expression. The waitress walked forward gently, her voice warm as she asked if the old man needed a meal, ignoring whispers around her. The old man nodded slowly, embarrassed, hands trembling as he tried to explain he had no money to pay for anything. The waitress didn't let him finish, pulling a chair out and guiding him to sit like a guest, not someone unwanted or invisible. The suited man's gaze deepened, noticing every small detail, from her kindness to the way the old man avoided eye contact. A plate of hot food was placed carefully in front of the old man, steam rising as his eyes filled with disbelief and quiet gratitude. No one in that diner realized that this small act of kindness had just awakened a past that was never truly forgotten. The old man stared at the plate for a long moment, as if unsure whether this kindness was real or just another passing illusion. Rough hands slowly moved forward, fingers shaking slightly as the first bite was taken with a mix of hunger and silent dignity. The waitress stood nearby for a second, not to watch, but to make sure the old man felt safe in a place that once felt distant. Soft murmurs spread across the diner, some filled with judgment, others with quiet curiosity about why she chose to help. The suited man remained still, eyes fixed, observing not the food, but the emotion written across the old man's tired face. Each bite carried more than hunger. It carried years of struggle, loneliness, and moments where no one chose to care. The waitress turned back to work, acting normal, refusing to make the moment feel like charity or something to be ashamed of. The old man suddenly paused mid-bite, eyes drifting upward as if recognizing something in the room that didn't belong. The suited man stepped a little closer, slow and controlled, his expression calm, but his thoughts clearly far from simple. A memory seemed to flicker behind the old man's eyes, confusion mixing with something deeper that words could not explain. The distance between the two men quietly shrank, while the rest of the diner continued as if nothing important was unfolding. What looked like a simple meal was slowly turning into a moment that would connect past pain with a truth no one expected. The old man's hand froze mid-air, a piece of bread slipping slightly, as tired eyes locked onto the suited man standing nearby. A strange silence formed between them, not loud, not visible, but heavy enough to make the air feel different inside the diner. The suited man took another step closer, controlled and calm, but something in the eyes revealed a storm hidden beneath. The waitress noticed the shift instantly, glancing between both men, sensing a connection that didn't match a normal encounter. The old man squinted slightly, as if trying to see through time itself, searching for a face buried deep in forgotten years. The suited man's jaw tightened for a brief second, a flicker of emotion breaking through the polished mask of success. No words were spoken yet, but the tension grew stronger. like a truth standing on the edge of revealing itself. The old man slowly placed the food down, attention no longer on hunger, but on the man whose presence felt familiar. The waitress stepped closer, unsure if she should interrupt, protect, or simply stand still and witness what was unfolding. A quiet breath escaped the suited man, as if gathering strength to face something that had been avoided for years. The distance between past and present had almost disappeared, leaving only one moment before everything would change. What started as kindness inside a diner was now turning into a confrontation neither of them was truly ready for. The suited man finally spoke, voice low and controlled, but every word carried a weight that had been buried for many years. The old man's eyes widened slightly, not in fear, but in recognition, as if a lost piece of life suddenly stood alive before him. The waitress stood frozen beside the table, realizing this moment was no longer about food, but about something far deeper. A long silence followed the first word, both men staring at each other as past wounds quietly surfaced without permission. The old man's lips trembled, trying to form a name that hadn't been spoken in years, unsure if it was real or memory. The suited man didn't deny it, didn't look away, just stood there and allowed the truth to settle into the room slowly. A few nearby customers sensed something serious, their conversations fading as the atmosphere turned heavy and emotional. The waitress stepped back slightly, giving space, but her eyes remained locked on the scene, unable to ignore the pain unfolding. The old man lowered his gaze for a moment, shame and regret passing through his tired face like a shadow of the past. The suited man took one more step closer, closing the final distance that time and mistakes had created between them. No anger was visible, no loud reaction, only a quiet intensity that made the moment even more powerful and real. Inside that simple diner, a broken bond stood face to face, waiting for either forgiveness or a truth too painful to accept. The old man finally whispered a name, voice cracked and fragile, as if saying it might break the moment into pieces again. The suited man closed his eyes briefly. Hearing that name after years felt heavier than any success ever achieved in life. The waitress felt a chill run through her, realizing this wasn't coincidence, but a reunion shaped by pain, distance, and time. The old man tried to stand up quickly, but weak legs failed, forcing him back into the chair with quiet embarrassment. The suited man moved forward instantly, not out of pity, but instinct, holding the old man steady without hesitation. For a second, both hands touched, rough and worn against polished strength, yet connected by something deeper than appearance. The old man pulled his hand back slowly, guilt flooding his face as if he didn't deserve even this small moment. The suited man looked directly into those tired eyes, searching for answers that had been missing for most of his life. The waitress watched silently, heart heavy, understanding now that her simple act had uncovered a hidden family story. A painful silence filled the space again, but this time it carried unspoken questions about abandonment, loss, and regret. The old man tried to speak again, but words failed, leaving only tears that spoke louder than anything he could say. Years of distance stood between them, but in that moment, both were forced to face what had been left behind. The suited man finally asked a question, voice steady but heavy, asking why everything had been left behind without a single word. The old man lowered his head, shoulders collapsing under the weight of truth, that had been avoided for too many years. The waitress stood still at a distance, feeling like an outsider witnessing a moment that was never meant for strangers. The old man spoke slowly, each word difficult, explaining how failure, debt, and shame had pushed life into darkness. Nothing was simple, nothing was clean, just a series of wrong choices that slowly destroyed everything once held together. The suited man listened without interruption, expression firm, but eyes reflecting pain that had never truly disappeared. Every sentence from the old man carried regret, not excuses, just the heavy truth of someone who lost everything. The diner felt quieter than ever, as if even the walls understood this conversation carried years of silent suffering. The waitress wiped a tear quietly, realizing kindness had opened a door to a past that demanded to be faced. The old man finally admitted leaving was never strength, but fear. A decision that haunted every step afterward. The suited man looked away briefly, processing a truth that explained everything, yet changed nothing about the pain. Between them stood not anger, but a broken history, waiting to see if forgiveness was still possible. The suited man remained silent for a long moment, eyes lowered, as if weighing years of pain against a single fragile chance. The old man didn't dare look up, hands tightly held together, expecting rejection more than anything else in that moment. The waitress stood near the counter, unable to move, knowing this decision would shape everything that followed next. A deep breath escaped the suited man, not of anger, but of exhaustion from carrying unanswered questions for so long. The old man whispered softly, not asking for forgiveness, only admitting mistakes that could never truly be undone. The diner felt still again, every second stretching, as if time itself paused to witness what choice would be made. The suited man stepped closer once more, standing right beside the old man, no distance left between past and present. A hand slowly rested on the old man's shoulder, not strong, not forceful, just enough to break years of silent separation. The old man flinched slightly, then froze, not expecting kindness after everything that had been lost and broken. The waitress covered her mouth gently, emotion rising as she watched something rare unfold in front of her eyes. No grand speech followed, no dramatic reaction, just a quiet gesture that carried more meaning than words ever could. In that small diner, forgiveness didn't arrive loudly, but softly, like a door opening after being closed for too long. The old man slowly looked up, eyes filled with disbelief, as if this moment was something never meant to happen again. The suited man didn't say much, just nodded slightly, making it clear that the past would not control everything anymore. The waitress stepped closer again, not as a worker now, but as someone who had unknowingly brought a broken family together. The old man's hands trembled again, but this time not from hunger, but from the weight of a second chance finally arriving. The suited man gently pulled a chair and sat beside the old man, not across, showing that distance was no longer needed. The diner slowly returned to normal, but something had changed forever in that quiet corner where truth had surfaced. The waitress placed a glass of water softly, her eyes warm, knowing kindness had done more than she ever imagined. No one spoke loudly, no attention was needed, because some moments are too real to be turned into a scene. The old man whispered something only the suited man could hear, a promise not to disappear again into silence. The suited man listened calmly, no anger left, only a quiet acceptance that healing takes time, but must begin somewhere.
With
Hearts change through
everything
stories
to
like this, like the video. Subscribe to the channel and don't miss what comes next.